Hello, everybody. Oh, figured I would hop on here and just check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. It is beautiful here in Texas. It is 76 degrees and sunny, and I just come and picked us up some lunch, and I'm not sure if it's a good thing when they know your name, when they finally learn your name in the drive-thru, or that just means we eat out too much. Because here in Texas, Pamela is not a name. Everybody pronounces my name as Pamela. So when I go through the drive-thru and say Pamela, nobody can understand. So, but now they do. So that's where I'm saying, I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's not a good thing. It's probably not a good thing. But it's Burger King is a place that I can get some gluten-free options easier than eating at a majority of the other restaurants. So, and it's good, tastes good, so it's probably not the best for me, but it's good. So, by the way, welcome to the channel. I'm Pam, the lipstick lady, although I don't have any lipstick on right at the moment. I've been just working at home today and working in my office, and I didn't put any makeup on today. I did take a shower, did brush my teeth, all that stuff, but I didn't do any makeup yet today. So it's kind of nice to see kids out riding their bikes. I just went past a little boy, had his helmet on, out riding his bicycle, because nowadays you don't see kids outside all that much. Seems like they're always inside on some kind of video game or TV or something. You know, I know some kids don't have the option. They live in apartments or someplace where they can't get outside to play, but it is nice to see kids outside playing. When I grew up, we were outside all the time. Very rarely was I inside. And, you know, of course, back then we didn't have all these electronic devices. It was like 3 channels on TV, and if you were lucky, you got a 4th channel. You had, PBS for watching like Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. And back then, a grown man doing kid things wasn't weird. I mean, maybe it was to our parents, but it's like they weren't like some pedo type thing, like Pee-wee Herman type things. So, Mr. Rogers was he was cool, and he was, from what I understand, he never gotten any legal issues. So, where nowadays people see that and they're like, why is that guy acting like that? Although now Blippi I didn't think was a bad show when the grandkids would watch Blippi. So, I don't know. But I'm going to try this afternoon to hop on, and I think I'm going to make some gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. Today, we do have Thanksgiving coming up this next week, and Dave and I have decided, excuse me, we're going to try to do like 30 days carnivore, try to get things back on track a little bit, and I need to get some chocolate chips out of the house before that happens. So, I'm thinking since I'm home today, I do have somewhere I have to be later on, and I'm hoping to pick up a grocery order today from Aldi's, but I'm gonna try and get some cookies made, and if I do it, I'll try to film it. Y'all can see our itty bitty tiny kitchen, and but it is what it is. It's a kitchen. You know, I see all these YouTube channels about people being homeless and people living in tents and campers and all that, and I gripe about our apartments. Or actually, it's not. Well, yeah, our apartment's kind of crappy too, but it's a lot of the other people that live in our complex that are crappy. You know, we're lucky. We have decent neighbors in the little section of the building we're in, but there's a lot of other ones that I would not want to have for my neighbors. So, but anyway, seeing the YouTube channels with all the, you know, people living not by choice, you know, some people choose to live in RVs and vans, you know, that's different. But the people that I see that are, you know, not necessarily choosing to live that lifestyle and are living that lifestyle makes me pretty thankful for my itty bitty crappy looking kitchen that I have. So, you know, that's one thing I am thankful for. So, I mean, I'm thankful for a lot of things, don't get me wrong. I do live a pretty blessed life, really. There's people, we always say, you think you have it bad, just look around. There's people that definitely are worse off than you, so. But, alright, I am just about home now, so I'm going to click this off for now. If I make the cookies, I will hop on and share that with you, because they are very delish. And it's a gluten-free recipe, so if you're gluten-free, it's something that, and you like cookies, I love cookies. It's probably part of my biggest problem is cookies are my downfall. And, but I'd like to share that recipe with you, as so far everybody in our family seems to enjoy these cookies. So, I will talk to you again very soon. See you in a little bit. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Pam, the lipstick lady, but I'm all natural today, no makeup on. But I did want to come back on here to share with you one of my gluten-free recipes. I will share the link to this recipe down in the comments. And this has been a really good chocolate chip recipe. It's gluten-free. And I'm just gonna show you real quick. It's easy to make. It doesn't ask for a lot of ingredients. And first I gotta preheat my oven to 350. And while that's preheating, I am going to start mixing some of my items together. Now I've already pre-measured most of them, except for I do have to measure 2¼ cups of all-purpose flour, gluten-free. Now this is what we have. I know there's several other varieties of gluten-free all-purpose flour. This is what I get from our HEB. And it's made really good cookies so far. So I have some chocolate chips I want to get used up before we stop eating sweets or many sweets. Of course, I'm getting flour on myself already. I do usually put on an apron before I start baking or cooking, but I didn't think about it today. Let's see here. I'm going to have to grab. Thought I had enough. Grab a second bag here. It never fails when you try to show somebody something, and that's when you think you had enough. And I mean, I'm at 1 3/4 cups. So I didn't need too much more, but there we go. So I'm just going to put that flour in this bowl here. And so it was 2 1/4 cups of the flour. And it calls for, now if your all-purpose flour does not already have xanthan gum in it, you will need a half teaspoon of xanthan gum. Mine already has it in it, so I don't have to worry about that. And then it calls for half a teaspoon of kosher salt. I just use Redmond's real salt. That is such a good salt. And like I said, I've made this recipe a few times, and it's always turned out well. So I just put that right in with the flour. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And I just have just a generic brand that I think I got this at Aldi's. And I just put it in there. And then I always kind of, I know you can't probably see, I always just kind of swirl it around in the bowl just to give it a little mix. And then that's it for my dry. Now what I do is I'm going to use my KitchenAid mixer, which I will put in. It calls for half a cup of butter, so I have a stick of butter here. And it calls for it to be at room temperature, but it doesn't have to be melted. So you don't want to, I guess when you melt butter, it changes some of the stuff in it. So I just remember back in the day when I was a lunch lady, we had to bake things from scratch. Then you learn a few things. 3/4 cup of light brown sugar. That'll go in the mixing bowl with the butter. And then I have 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar. And what I'm going to do is just throw that on my mixer here. Lock it in. And then I just run it until it's nice and creamy and fluffy smooth. So that'll run for a couple of minutes here. And let's see here. I'll also need 2 eggs. And it calls for them to be at room temperature and slightly beaten. So I'm going to crack those and get those slightly beaten. And then they can get mixed right in with the dough that's going to cook here. Alright, so we got that going. It does call for 1 tablespoon, which I think might be why I enjoy this so much. It calls for a whole tablespoon of vanilla. And then after that mixes up, I will add in this flour. It's flour, salt, and baking soda. And then I also have these Hershey chocolate chips. This is, I think, a 12 ounce bag. And so it calls for a 12 ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now, I did scan these with my phone, the Gluten barcode scanner, to tell you things are gluten-free. And it did say the Hershey ones are gluten-free, so that's why I've always used those. It's just such a simple, easy recipe. I'm hoping you're able to hear me. Alright. As you can see, it is ready. Take this off the beater. This way of cookie dough is always one of my favorite things. Sometimes I would rather have the cookie dough like this versus the cookies. Although they say it's not healthy for you because it has raw eggs in it. Although so far, I'm still kicking. You can see this is how your batter is going to look. And then what I like to do is I have one of these scoops. And I simply just scoop it on. I'm going to get you over here so you can. I just scoop it on here. I got my oven preheating already. It's 350. Now, you probably will want to have a second cookie sheet, and I have parchment paper down on the cookie sheet. You will probably want a second one just because of the fact when these cookies come out of the oven, it says to let them set for, I believe it's 5 minutes. And I think that might be something to do with the gluten-free. Maybe it doesn't set as fast. But when they come out, I let them set for 5 minutes. And then I transfer them over to a cooling rack. And so, as you can see, I've got a dozen here. I'll throw them in the oven. Set my timer for, I always forget, I think it's 12 minutes. Yep, 12 minutes. And I will be back as soon as they come out of the oven. Okay, y'all, they're out of the oven. Look at these. So nice and poofy. They are just a delightful cookie to have. As you can see, it was easy. There isn't a ton of ingredients. Now I did notice, and I've never done this with the recipe, it does say you can cover and chill the dough for 12 hours up to 5 days. For the thickest, best flavored cookies, even chilling the dough for 30 minutes will help control oven spread. As you can see, they've stayed pretty thick. I don't roll them in a ball. I just use one of these ice cream cookie scoops, whatever they're called. Scoop it on. I don't flatten them or anything. I just scoop it on, leave it on there, and that's how I bake them. And it says you can roll them, and then if you want more chocolate, you can roll the dough in more chocolate chips, I guess. But to me, that's plenty enough chocolate chips. So anyway, I hope you like this recipe. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime and helps the channel to grow. I don't know why it's the shading and lighting in here. I see it going. Anyway, I will catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.